It's Saturday, 5 o'clock, and welcome to Ginny's Gin live stream. This is our 10th live stream, and we're starting to hit our stride, I think. I'm Ginny from Ginny's Gin, and this is my husband, Rob.
Hi, and I'm still smiling after 3 weeks.
And we co-founded with our dear friends Jeff and Amy Close, Ginny's Gin. Back in, it was a twinkle in our eye in in 2016, but we didn't actually start selling, going on the road until 2017. So I'm actually going to go back to our first live stream that we did. We were practicing and we were doing it on Instagram, and we didn't have a lot of followers or viewers, if you like, and it was really sweet because our eldest son, Jack, who's at CU Boulder, he was, being our IT guy, and he was seeing if there were people jumping on, and he wanted to improve the viewership, if you like. So he was texting all his friends from college and telling them to jump on, and it was really sweet. So we seem to have had a lot more views now. We've, as I say, we've started to...
They're almost 21.
Yes, I know. Didn't say that. So I think we've had like nearly 400 views on our last live stream, so that was very cool. So I'm going to repeat one of the recipes that we did on our first live stream. It's one of my favorite cocktails because it's only 4 ingredients, it's really easy to make, and generally you're probably going to have the ingredients at home. The other thing that I love about it is the base forms, it's the base basically for the excuse me, having trouble today.
That's easy for you to say.
Evidently not. So it's called a Tom Collins, and the Tom Collins base can actually morph into 2 or 3 other cocktails as well. The Tom Collins was first, I think it first appeared in 1876. It was, I think it was in the bartender's book back then, so it goes way back. So let's jump into making the Tom Collins, and then I'll show you the 2 others that it morphs off. Okay, so let's see. Let's start with the gin. Where's the gin? Here it is. Very, very easy to remember this too. I'm actually going to do 2 cocktails as opposed to 1 because I have a rather large glass, and this is a Tom Collins or a Collins glass. It's a tall glass, and it's quite big, so it needs for me to make 2 cocktails.
It's 8 ounce glass.
Yeah, exactly. So if you were just doing 1 cocktail, it would be 2 ounces of gin, 1 ounce of lemon juice, and then ½ an ounce of simple syrup. Very easy, 2, 1, half. You can go up to 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup if you want to, depending on how sweet you like it. We tend to do that.
And how sweet the lemons are. And
the lemons too, it does. I mean, just taste and see, obviously, as you're doing it. Okay, so I'm going to make 2, so I'm going to do 4 ounces of the Ginny's Gin. There we go.
Go taste and see.
Go taste and see. 2. And 4. There we go. I'll give that back to you.
Hello. 4 ounce drink.
I know. Hope everybody is doing great. I know we have 4th of July coming up next Saturday. All right, so then we've got 2 ounces. Freshly squeezed lemon juice, so I freshly squeezed that just earlier. It's, just to make it quicker, I do it ahead of time, obviously. And then the simple syrup, so just half. So it would normally be a ½ an ounce for 1. I'm doing 2, so it's going to be 1 ounce.
Yeah.
There we go. So easy ratios to remember. All right, so that all goes in. As you know, my husband, those of you that have watched before, he uses a Boston shaker or a tin-on-tin shaker. I'm just going to use the very easy, handy mason jar that you probably have at home. So it makes it really easy. So I'm going to add ice to it, and we're going to shake it up. There we go. Lid goes on. There we are. All right, little shake. As I've said before, put your glassware in the freezer, put your shaker in the freezer, and even put the gin in the freezer so that everything stays nice and cold. So then you're going to fill up your Collins glass with ice as well.
With the rinse.
Yeah, that's good too. There we go. All right. then just strain here into the glass. Right about there. And then we're going to top it off with some club soda. There we go. Or seltzer, whatever you have, you know, any kind of fizzy water that you have.
Sparkling water.
Sparkling water. There we go. All right, so that's the Tom Collins. And the traditional garnish with a Tom Collins is an orange slice with a cherry, and you make it into a flag like that. So that's the Tom Collins.
I always like to put like a drop of orange juice in mine or two.
That's right, you do, yes. Just a squeeze of orange
salt.
juice. Okay. So that's the Tom Collins, and then we're going to morph that into the French 75. So very pretty glass. That was a gift, I think, at Christmas one year. And I already have this pre-mixed and everything. So I've got the base, the gin, the lemon juice, and the simple syrup. That's all ready to go right here, and is nice and cold. It's been in the freezer. All right. So you're going to take your flute, your champagne glass, and you'll add, I would say, up to about...
Imagine that it just came out of a shaker.
Yes, this would normally, you know, I would have just shaken this up, but I've pre-done this. I'm going to give that back to you. So instead of using the club soda as your fizzy, we're going to use some champagne, some Prosecco, some sparkling wine, and we're actually going to plug another Sonoma County producer. This is Gloria Ferrer. She does a great job with her sparkling, and in fact we were on Edible magazine front cover with we called it the G&G, so the Gloria and Ginny French 75. I should tell you a little bit of history about the French 75. It is named after the 75mm light field gun that the French used during World War I. So this cocktail actually dates back to 1915, I think it is. I think the reason that it was named after the gun was because it does, in fact, pack punch, and because you've got the gin in there and you've got the bubbles, the champagne, two of my favorite cocktails for sure. In fact, it reminds me because in England, you know, the legal drinking age is 18, and so when I became of legal drinking age, my mother, her advice to me about drinking was that you should never mix grape and grain. Well, of course, this cocktail has grape and grain, and whoever listened to their mother anyway, right? So we're just going to top off with a little of the Gloria Ferrer champagne, and then the traditional, you know what, I'm also going to add, and I probably should have done this earlier, but another Sonoma producer, Flora Luna, and our friend, she does a great job with her bitters, and this is the honey aromatic bitters, so a couple of drops there of that. And traditional garnish is a lemon twist, a nice long lemon twist. There we go. So that's that one. That's two different cocktails. And then the final one is not as historic, but it uses the base. And this would normally be obviously in the freezer, would be nice and cold. Again, I would shake up the so that everything's nice and cold. But another plug for another Sonoma producer. This is Golden State Cider. This is their Mighty Dry. Being a Brit, the other thing that I drank other than gin and tonic was a lot of cider. And it was hard in the beginning when I first came to America, back in 1991, to find a cider that was a hard cider that wasn't too sweet. And I think now that the ciders that we're getting locally are really good, and this is a great example of it as well. So again, we would go in and let's do about, let's say, up to about there. This is a really refreshing cocktail as well. It's sort of like a poor man's French 75. I'm going to call it a Sonoma 75 because all the ingredients are coming from Sonoma. All right, so pour in your champagne. And if you need something a little stronger than cider, there it is. So I would just slug that down without any garnish at all. So 3 cocktails. As I said before, keep all your glassware nice and cold. Anything else I have to say? No. Rob is now going to make his cocktail.
I haven't named it yet.
Oh, Rob hasn't named his cocktail.
Honey Bunny, what do we have in the fridge?
Oh, perfect. There you go. All right, I'm going to put these off to the side, and it looks like it's going to be a good evening.
Boy.
Woohoo! All right, take it away, Rob.
Okay. All right, I'm smiling, I'm breathing. I've got a very chilled glass I just got out of the freezer. And I noticed that I had been drinking like one drink or two like every night since the quarantine started. And so last Sunday was the last time I had a drink until last night. I kind of took the week off. And I hadn't really planned anything. And I opened up the fridge and I went, honey bunny, what can I make a drink out of? And there was one Valencia orange left from last week. Now we have another one. And one lime. And I've been working on the Valencia orange theme because even though Ginny found a couple of nice lemons, they're really hard to get right now at a quality level. And so in keeping with my Valencia oranges are really good right now theme, I just kind of made up a drink last night. And it turned out to be really hecka good. So it's the Ginny's gin. What the heck do we have in the refrigerator that we can make a cocktail out of? And it turned out really, really good. So I'm going to share that. So what I did was I took a Valencia orange and...
Does anybody get the reference for the honey bunny? Do you know where that came from? Do you remember?
I do.
Yeah. Go on, say it.
No, you do. I'm making a drink. Okay, so basically what I did was I took a half of a Valencia orange, which I'm just going to kind of make it easy and just strain it right through the strainer into the jar. So half of a orange. Right? And then I cut the ends off because then it juices a lot better and it's less bitter, the juice. So the ends are off, cut in half. And then I'm gonna combine the half of an orange. Last week I added malic and citric acid to my orange to make it like nice and tart to make a balanced drink, just like a lime or a lemon would make. And last night, I just was really, really ready for that drink. And so I mixed one lime together with half of an orange. And I came up with a pretty balanced juice because the limes are hecka tart right now. And then basically, one of the ingredients that's in this that I added to the drink last night is velvet falernum, and it's a tiki. It's basically liquid Barbados. It was made in Barbados by a guy it's called John Taylor's Velvet Falernum. And it's a 1/4 ounce of this is in a drink that I really love called the Saturn. And the Saturn is a tiki drink that's made with gin rather than rum.
We should do that next week.
And I'm going to make that drink next week because it's really delicious. It has passion fruit in it, it has lemon juice, it has velvet falernum, and it has orgeat. Yeah, I call it orgeat. Anyway, so I basically use that because it adds a little bit of funk to the drink. So inside of my shaker, I'm going to make...
What? Ooh, that looks good. Excuse me.
We're going to do a different... Oh,
no,
yeah.
It's just... What is that?
Oh, no, it looked like maybe like a little piece of seed or something. Okay, so basically... this drink is big, so I can't do like a bar-sized drink. So I'm going to do it's like a drink and a half, which for me is one drink. So it's basically going to be 1.5 ounces of my half a lemon and 1 lime juice, and then it's going to be about
orange and lime.
Half a lime and what did I say?
Lemon
orange. Lime and orange. Okay, and then I'm going to just do. Like if this was one drink, I would do 1/4 ounce of velvet, but I'm going to do like kind of halfway between 1/4 and 1/2 ounce of velvet falernum, and it just gives like this little bit of funk. And then I'm going to do
8 ounces of Ginny's gin.
2 ounces of gin. 1, 2, and then I'm going to do, because I mean there's only one thing I like almost as much as gin, and that's rum, and I'm going to use the 4-year Florida Cana. And the bartenders hold them like this. And I'm going to go 1 ounce of that. So because this is a drink and a half, it's 3 ounces of booze instead of 2. Bars usually go 1 3/4 ounces, and so instead of 1 ounce of like citrus, they would do 3/4. But we like our 2 ounce drinks. Helps with the depletions.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So kind of everything's in there except for just like a little bit of simple syrup. And because the velvet falernum is basically, it's basically rum and lime juice and spices, but it is sweet, and so you don't use as much. So I'm only gonna go about, a drink and a half would normally be like 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup. I'm gonna go like right around a half ounce, just like a scant more. And then to make the drink have a little bit of mouthfeel, richness, texture, a dash and a half of, and I got this from our friends Navi and Stacy last week for Father's Day, but I knew another bottle of Angostura bitters, very nice. And then you can just do a little pinch of salt, but I mean, I always use my 10% saline solution, so that would be 3 drops in this case. And I think I've got everything in the pool, except I'm gonna take from the garden a little bit of Thai basil, and I'm gonna throw, oh, I don't know, a couple, 3, 4 leaves in there. Yeah, 3, 4 leaves. And then when I shake that, it's gonna bust up and release all the fragrance and some of that vegetal green character from the Thai basil. I did it with regular basil last night, and it was really delicious. And I think with the Thai basil, will be just as good or better. So
basil's from the garden.
Everything is in, and I'm gonna give it a hard shake. And then, because the basil gets pretty torn up by the ice, I'm going to double strain to catch the little hunks of basil.
There you go. Pretty color.
And that's kind of, that's the drink. And then I think because it's kind of a yellow, where's the smallest, like, prettiest little one? Ooh, look at that little guy. And then one of our fresh edible flowers from the garden.
Nasturtiums.
Nasturtium. And then I really like the aromatics also from the garden. There's a little bit of, we have lemon verbena. And it has a very strong smell that's so similar to lemongrass. Ta-da! So there it is. That's the drink.
Beautiful. Nicely done.
Thank you.
All right. Some
That's-
nice looking
that's-
cocktails there.
What the heck do we have in the refrigerator? Ginny's Gin, almost liquid Barbados cocktail.
Okay.
And that's it. I just made the one drink, but next week the Saturn.
Okay. You know, next week is the 4th of July. Are we going to be good to 5 o'clock? Why not?
Why not?
Absolutely. Which one are you drinking? Yours, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cheers. Mwah. And cheers to you guys. Thanks for watching. And have a great week.
Cheers.
Bye. Cheers.
Oh, it smells good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's get the party started. Woohoo!
Good. Okay, cheers.